I feel that you may have heard this a lot over the last 2 days, but it's important to reiterate. You need to clearly articulate your business's mission and values. I think this foundation is going to guide all sort of branding efforts that resonate with like-minded consumers. I remember when I was on radio, the other thing that we were very, very passionate about is knowing our audience. We were told that your listener, whether they were different or not, your listener, the person that you were talking to is between the ages of 22 and 28. She's employed, she could be in a bank, she lives on her own, and that's who we were talking to when we were on radio. So the same thing applies here. You need to know your audience, and I feel that that can come through a bit of market research. So you tailor your messaging and visuals to speak directly to them. Just, it's easy to do nowadays, I feel, because of social media, and you can do a little bit of market research using your social media. I think another thing that you have to do is highlight what sets you apart. A lot of the time we hear the word niche. I feel it's mispronounced so many times. It's niche, but it's actually find your niche, find out who your niche is, and you know, just work towards that. I think we've heard words like sustainability, so that's a big buzzword at the moment, or you know, your unique products. Find out what it is that you have that's different from everyone else and really hone in on that. Developing a visual identity is important. You could create that cohesive visual identity, and I think that comes in as well when you have a brand style guide. And I wonder how many of you have heard this and are sort of, and I may be repeating myself, but I think those are extremely important. The other thing that I'd like to say is that, you know, you've heard me, you've heard that I do support Luku Luku and the refugees. And when I decided that that's something that I felt passionate about, and I traveled to Kakuma with UNHCR, I listened to stories which made me buy into the fact that I must continue this endeavor using my platform by raising awareness not only for refugees but also raising funds. So tell your story and make sure it's completely authentic. I don't know how many of you have heard or are following the US elections, just by a show of hands. Are we following it? Yes? So what's come up recently is that Kamala Harris is not, she's not?
An African.
Black, right? That's what they're saying, that she's not black. But, you know, if you hear Janet Jackson saying it, or Candace Owens saying it, she's written a book saying that this is my grandmother and everything, but now there's sort of like holes coming in through her story that probably wasn't her grandmother, and the pictures that she's taken with her great-grandmother are probably not that. So tell your story, but be completely authentic with your story, and don't be ashamed of where you came from or who you are, because I think that's where people really buy into your brand. The other thing that I would say is, again, going back to social media, you have a beautiful opportunity to build a community through that. And if you build your community through that, then you can leverage, right? Then that's where your market research comes in, and that's instant, where you can sort of ask them, does this work or does this not work? And finally, you know, going back to something that I truly believe in, and I always talk about it, is authenticity. I think you should always be authentic, be yourself. I really hate fake it until you make it. I really dislike that term, and I think that it's just been used in such a wrong manner. Be yourself, show up authentically, and your success will definitely find you. Thank you.